Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In 5 days, it's start of Scourge League 316 expansion, and yo, I cannot wait. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that I was like that hyped for League start. I mean, I'm always hyped for League start, but you know, has been leagues where I'm like, you know, let's see and wait how it's gonna be. Expedition, for example, right? And then there is Scourge League where I'm like, yo, I really cannot wait. So, yo, boys, please help me. 5 days, 3 hours, 50 minutes, 53 seconds. What are you guys doing in the next couple days to cover the time until we finally meet us again in raid class? Let me know in the comments below. But in today's video, I want to cover my personal top 3 things that they are going to bring or change in Scourge League that hypes me the most. So, obviously, there are kind of honorable mentions. I mean, the patch notes, dude, literally, I've never... Wait, let me do this even worse, you know? Show all spoilers. So, I have never seen patch notes this freaking long. And, I mean, there is so many changes in this league. Wait, this is... You know, like, what am I talking the next 2 minutes until we reach the end of these patch notes? Like, holy moly, like, this time around, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna bring any, like, TLDR patch notes overview because, dude, I have went through all of this, through all the change. It took me like 3 hours on the stream to cover everything, and there is so many cool things and quality of life and whatnot. But today, I want to briefly talk about my top 3 of the things they're gonna bring in Scourge League that I'm looking forward the most. So, first of all, and the most important thing is for me, the changes to the skill tree. So the problem and the good and bad thing, you know, like, for example, if I'm now just gonna randomly open my PUB, hey, there's spoilers. So, this is my tree, right? And if I say, yo, I'm gonna make, like, I don't know, a duelist, I'll make a gladiator max block, like, I know blindly how I'm gonna skill that thing. Oh, it's gonna be dual wield. Oh, it's gonna be block. You know, I'm probably gonna end up taking the Scion Life Cluster wheel. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to build, but the tree will probably look kind of the same for almost every kind of character. If you place as many builds as I did, you're gonna see that it really crystallizes the way you're gonna progress through the tree. And besides like 20 or 30 points, the other like 70 points are almost always gonna be the same. We have like super strong nodes on the left side, on the right side, on the top side, Shadow like Assassin, the Witch, Occultist. I know exactly, oh, it's an energy shield character, I need this node, that node, this node. And in the end, it's still like the problem that I already kind of know what it's going to look like. With this entire passive skill mastery rework of the entire tree, things get shuffled. And even though I know already what I'm going to play for League Start, or at least it's a 50% chance. I don't want to spoil or anything that it's either going to be Poison Concoction Pathfinder or Fireburst Elementalist Ignite. So anyways, I don't know how I'm gonna build that, because there is masteries, the thing where you like skill one of these notables here and have access to the mastery that basically sometimes contain cluster jewel stats, you know? Usually, I think most characters, not everything, not every character, but most of the high-end characters usually have 2 setup of cluster jewels. The problem with that is cluster jewels need a heavy investment into skill points. And when I know that I'm having a cluster jewel, for example, for Ignite Proliferation, like Fan the Flames or anything like that, or anything that I personally think this buffs my build, and it's usually found on cluster jewel, I have to make another setup. So, with these masteries, I could find a lot of nodes. I mean, not all of them are public, sadly, but I do find nodes where I say, wait a second, this is gonna be insane. For example, I think it was the Brand Mastery over here. I remember when I played Penance Brand, I needed an entire cluster just to get, I think it was Holy Conquest that had this line: brands attached to a new enemy each time they activate no more than once every 0.3 seconds. This was a mandatory thing to make this build enjoyable, to make this build good. Without that, I would not recommend playing that. So that means if I plan to play a brand build, I already need to think ahead. Do I have the currency to buy this cluster jewel? Do I have the funds to actually get this thing going? And now with the masteries, I find something like this on the tree itself that saves me up a lot of points, right? And the thing is, like, over here we have Fire Mastery, for example. There's like a 20 dot multi, there's damage for strength stacking, there's chance to cover enemies in Ash. That is also, I think, like on one of the cluster jewels in a little bit different form. Here's recover life when you ignite a non-ignited enemy, which will be for mapping like an insane thing. This is like a Cinder Swallow or in your skill tree, more or less. The Fire like. And these are just Fire Mastery, and here we have Brand Mastery, here is Energy Shield Mastery, and I think, or I hope, there's going to be even more, something specific to maybe dots in specific, right? We're gonna have like probably armor clusters, life clusters, like masteries and stuff like that. And I think overall this system will probably save you at least one entire cluster jewel. That means for the average build, you're gonna have like maybe 15 skill points more to play around, and that just the possibility that you have next to like the new keystones, but I'm not like too hyped about the keystones. I'm really I'm talking about the skill tree changes. What options do we have now? For example, like this cluster here was like the go-to way for an Unnatural Instinct. Will it still be? Or what about the keystones? They are like arranged in a different way now, right? So we're gonna find out a lot of new ways to build our characters through the masteries. We're gonna save skill points. We probably can enable new mechanics in a build that was before just not possible. And for me as a build creator, as somebody that really likes to play a lot of different builds and just trying out new mechanics and stuff, this is like the thing where I look the most forward to. In the number 2 spot, we have the Uber content. I don't really have like any like images over here or anything, but we are aware of basically that we're gonna have Uber content. So if you remember, Grimbro back in the days was asking other content creators, me included, to join him on stream, and he was just briefly asking me, yo mbX, what do you want to change in the game? What would make the game better in your opinion? And we talked a lot of these things, and one point that I stated was like, I want to have Uber content. I'm not saying that GGG implements Uber content just because mbX said, but it was a lot of things that they bring now what I basically said. I want to have Uber content. I don't want to have like 100% Delirious and in its own. And now we're gonna have like even more things like Uber Legion, and we're gonna have Uber like what is it, Ravaged Blight maps, which are like the 9 oils on a blight map. If you have like a tier 16 blight map and juice it up with 9 oils and whatnot, and then probably even Scourge the item and stuff like that, that's gonna be so insane, and we can test our builds in all various ways. For me, for example, it is not an accomplishment to defeat Osiris and Awakener 9. It is a bit of an accomplishment if you defeat Maven, because Maven sometimes, especially in the last phase with these beams where you have like 10 seconds, no live reach and everything, it's a bit weird relationship what I have to Maven. But I think even if my build can do Maven, I'm not like, I'm like, yeah, okay, my build can do Maven, but I'm not feeling like essentially proud of it, you know. But if I, for example, with the accuracy stacking character, when I got it that far, that the accuracy stacker could do 100% Delirious, maximum juice with everything, with like winged scarabs and tier 16 max juice, you know, these kind of things, and I was able to clear it without dying, and in the most important thing, without a headhunter, you know, I was proud. I was like, yo, I started this thing, and I brought it up to 100% Delirious, and I could do it. I was like, proud of it, you know, on the build itself. And now that we have even more ways to check our characters, how good they're gonna perform in the later stages of the game, and just thinking about, like, Uber Simulacrum, if we call it like that. I remember, or I know, that Ecosis or Omniphobia is not the worst thing. Could one-shot you with the Earthquake, but Cosis, dude, if you had bad luck and you had a wave 20 Cosis, and there was, like, Fizz's extra fire with Fire Pen and, like, chance to inflict elemental ailments, dude, this guy, even you have a tanky character, this guy can just randomly one-shot you, and that's insane. Even though I was playing tanky characters sometimes in the challenge grind, in the endgame grinds that I did last league, where it was like defeat 300 waves of Simulacrum, basically, right? I did die, even on my 10,000 life Juggernaut with 10 endurance charges. This is insane, right? Now thinking about, we're gonna have 10 more levels, you know, Simulacrum wave 30. So for example, at wave 15 Cosis, sometimes I don't even see him. He just randomly explodes somewhere off screen because he, you know, it's wave 15, whatever. It's like T3 or T4 map, like whatever. But then you compare it to a T20 and you're like, dude, this guy is dangerous. I'm scared of that dude. And now we're gonna have up to wave 25, 28. What about a wave 30 Kosis? Like, oh boy, that's gonna be very, very interesting. Which builds and especially how many builds we're gonna have that can do content like Uber Simulacrum or the Ravaged Blight maps or the Legion encounter or the other like the Uber Breachstones bosses and whatnot. And this is like content where I'm really looking forward and I want to test my builds. How good is it? How good is it going to be? And that leads me to the last point, the third option, the third thing where I say that's gonna be a game changer, which is the Mage Blood belt. So when I saw this belt for the first time, I was like, yo, this is actually ridiculously insane. But after discussing it with the chat even further, we found out like how insane this is going to be. Is it going to be the new Headhunter? In some cases, okay? I think if you play an elemental based build, I don't think there is any belt or anything that is comparable to Headhunter when it comes to like speed and buffs and damage and like the overall package, right? Can you swap it out for bossing and so on? Like, obviously, right? Why would you not? But I really like the approach that this is the... Like, Headhunter was always the chase unique, but Headhunter is not good on every build. I'm saying this because elemental builds, on-hit, bow builds, spellcasters, they benefit the most out of a Headhunter. What about an Essence Drain Contagion? Like, I remember I had times I had a Headhunter on stash, but I refused to use it because... You know, Essence Drain Contagion, a dot build, like, you know, what if I steal Hatred? Like, whatever. Like, most of the buffs will not count. The same for, like, Bleed Bow, you know? I don't, even if I have the currency, even if I have it, I'm probably not gonna play Headhunter on those kind of builds or Ignite or anything like that, right? But now we have this one, and Mage Blood Belt... What I heard, it's going to be in the core drop pool, so it's not a Scourge unique item or something like that. It is just going to get added to the game. I don't know, like requires level 44. Headhunter is like level 40 or something. I don't know. So they are pretty much equal on that part, but that means level 44 means it could technically drop somewhere in probably part 2 of the story. The thing is, like, it is probably going to be as rare as the Headhunter or even rarer than the Headhunter. But I really like the approach that we have 2 really insane chase uniques now, or at least the ones that I'm thinking of comparable, and they also share the same spot. I do like that a belt like this, and we're quickly gonna go through why this belt is so insane, is not on a ring slot, for example, so I can pair it up with a Headhunter. I really like the fact that this belt is actually on the same slot as Headhunter, so you have to choose if you get to that point. Good. What do I like so much about the belt? If you read it, the leftmost 4 magic utility flasks constantly apply their flask effects to you. What does that mean? If we now take a look, I want to have like, let's say a Quicksilver flask, right? This is going to be permanently active. A silver flask, I will have permanent onslaught. A diamond flask, I will have the permanent critical strike chance. What else is there? The quartz flask, I'm gonna have permanent facing. So adding those, and this is... Here it is, magic utility flask, okay? It does not contain unique flask, so no permanent bottled faith or something. That would be even more ridiculous. But the thing is still, I'm totally fine with that. With this belt, I can just enable the Raider Ascendancy permanently on my character without a downside. It comes as well, like the Headhunter, with strength and dexterity, so it's definitely usable for any kind of character. Like, it depends. For casters, probably even more than for melees, because melees lack intelligence. This is another strength, dexterity, and I personally don't think that any, like, Slayer or something do have strength problems, for example. But anyways, that's totally fine. But now thinking about it, you could boost these up with, like, Enkindling Orbs. You know, the one currency that we have since last league that gives us a lot more flask effect, but a lot reduced duration, for example. There's a prefix that you can craft on the flask for more effect, but less duration. Does it matter with this belt? No. My flask could be boosted up to, like, I don't know, 100% increased effect of every single modifier, and if it only lasts 1 second, it doesn't matter because I'm not using flask. They will be permanently active. So what I'm thinking about is, like, a Quicksilver flask of adrenaline. What about if you take this belt and use it as a flask finder, a pathfinder? You know, we had builds where the Pathfinder had like 60 or 70% increased effect of Flask. What that means, if I use a Quicksilver Flask, I'm getting from like 80% movement speed to 200%. So the Flask is so powered up and so juiced that the Flask alone, the Quicksilver Flask, gives me like 100%, 120% increased movement speed. So the Mage Blood belt, if you have your flasks properly crafted, and I'm talking about Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline, then like could be, what about a Bismuth Flask, the one with like all resistance, and you craft the all resistance modifier on it, which is a suffix or something, right? Plus like some flask effect, you're gonna have like 70 all res coming from your belt. Plus the like 50 all rest or fire cold rest that is already on there. If you want to play, if you want to get chaos rest capped, then get like the the amethyst flask, you know, and get like chaos rest during flask effect. There is movement speed, there is attack speed, cast speed during flask effect. You can get ailment immunity. You, as I said, the quartz flask, permanent phasing, permanent onslaught, the quicksilver flask. This belt is going to be the chase unique and number one for me. I cannot wait until I get one, and this is a thing for you guys. If it works the way it does, or the way I think it does, right? And if you find this early on, keep it. Really do yourself a favor and keep it, you know? There is nothing worse than if you find this and you didn't know about it and you put it on the trade for like, I don't know, like 25C, and you get spammed and you're like, yo, I'm gonna put this in for 5x, and somebody says like, yo, I'm paying you 5x. Because a week later, you know, this thing might even be the one belt that gets more expensive than a Headhunter. I could see this belt in the trade league for about 200x plus, you know? It's always about offer and demand. Like, if this is going to be, I'm not saying super rare, like it is a super rare unique, but if people are playing and they get those belts and we flood the market with those belts, obviously they're gonna not be that expensive. But as far as I see, it's kind of the Headhunter stage where some people are gonna drop them, but everybody wants I have it, right? And Mage Blood belt will not be different, so don't do the mistake and sell it early on for super cheap or anything, unless you sell it to me, but it's a different story. But this belt is gonna be insane, and this belt is just gonna speed up all your characters or whatever use. It's multi-use, right? You can use Ruby, Topaz, and Sapphire Flask and be like completely res immune, right? Or res capped without anything. Use that belt with res focus on a stat stacking that have like super hard problems getting res capped, for example, right? Like I cannot talk like I can't talk like another hour about this belt and the combinations that we might reach, and this is probably gonna be like super insane with the changes to all the skill tree, with the changes to like the Uber count and so on. I just think in this league we do gonna have a lot of options to make super fancy characters with all the new stuff that we can play with, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. I mean, did they revert the buffs? No, not really. It is like this, the hand, right? With 5 fingers, a complete hand. This is what we had in Ritual League. Now 315 Expedition League, and they just took everything away. And this is what we had left over when in terms of like build diversity or something, right? Now Scourge League, we're back to like 3, for example. Like, we're not gonna have as insane characters. Maybe, who knows, you know? But I don't think that the nerf state is gonna get a little bit reverted, so we're gonna have a lot of like changes to Ignite, which I really appreciate, because I love my Ignite builds, and it's probably gonna be an Ignite build, my League starter, and all the dot builds and everything like that get some love. And yeah, I'm just super hyped. I cannot wait until Friday. I cannot wait to like start the grind, especially since I haven't played a lot, and a lot of other people haven't played a lot of Expedition as well, just because, you know, it was still Expedition in the end, not the league mechanic, but all the nerfs, and that just drove a lot of people away. But now with the new tools that we're gonna work with the new stuff and the new challenges that awaits us, this just makes me super hyped, and a lot of people too. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think about all of that. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.